we're back for week 5 of college football predictions. Please join us as we discuss the Saban Affect and how the NIL has injected parity into the game of college football.
Well, I wanted to be educated today, so I looked at, I watched a bunch of the highlight reels, and I took fucking notes, bitches. I got notes.
That's what I'm talking about, my man. But you really can't beat, like, when it comes to, I mean, it depends on what you want to watch, right? But the multi-view from YouTube TV,
right?
I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
You said you could put up like 4 games on each screen.
Yeah, and it depends on like which ones they got grouped together. But it's usually there's at least 2 good ones and probably like 2 lame ones. But
yeah.
Well, the LSU, I watched highlights of Arkansas, LSU, Ohio, Notre Dame, and FSU Clemson didn't look like a real great game. I mean, it wasn't awful, but I mean, there was no real. It was a tight game, but nothing really stood out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what stood out. Piss poor coaching. That's what stood out.
That's what stood out, huh?
Clemson absolutely gifted FSU that game.
Yeah, because I thought Clemson looked real good.
And I don't think Clemson. The kid's young, but I don't think they figured out their quarterback situation. I think they're going to ride or die with the kid that's playing.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know. He's he's not a red shirt. I don't think he's a red shirt freshman. So he's a true sophomore.
Well, so FSU won that one in overtime.
Yeah, on idiotic play calling and coaching.
Yeah, there was some.
It made no sense.
Well, the time management at the end of the game, had Clemson managed it better, they could have drove down and scored a touchdown rather than having to kick a field goal.
Right.
And not just that, but they just pulled their kicker, they just pulled him off the car lot last week.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm making that up, but
I understand
literally, he wasn't on the team
out of nowhere. Week.
Yeah, he wasn't on the team last week. He was a previous walk-on, and he was actually taking classes in Charleston and about to take a job in New York. And the coach called him up. He's like, "Hey, you still got some eligibility left? We need a kicker."
No shit.
Yeah. So he was technically, it's all legal. He's still enrolled at Clemson, taking online classes. So all they had to do was give him a jersey and put him on the roster.
I don't know who did it. The only note I really had for that game was FSU in the third quarter when they had that sack and caused that fumble for a TD.
Yeah.
That was, if that hadn't happened, Clemson might have had that game as well.
Clemson, man, it's frustrating because I hate FSU.
Well, you're a Gators fan, of course you do.
But Clemson had, I mean, I think FSU is going to be like 2013 Auburn, where they just get lucky all year long. And
I think so.
Yeah, because they got the 97th ranked defense in the country.
Clemson made them look good.
Well, Clemson did make them look better than they were, but they still put up 24 points and like 400 yards. But still, I think Clemson and actually Boston College last week, if you go back and look at those highlights, kind of showed like how to neutralize, because the whole thing with FSU is their wide receivers. They got a good running back, but the whole thing is all these wide receivers that they have, all these weapons. Mm-hmm. And I think the last 2 games, you kind of seen the game plan of how to neutralize them. And I think it's hard to tell on TV. I said this before, but I think they're probably playing like some Tampa 2 coverage, some type of zone that just those receivers can't get open. I know they're playing some man too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just,
I don't know. FSU found a way.
Yeah.
So leading into Alabama Ole Miss, Alabama was lackluster in their first half.
Yeah.
Got
Ole
the
Miss
job done.
That game pretty, yeah. Yeah.
But your point about the Saban Affect, that was epic. And it really sums up college football right now, because we have the Brady rule that come up in NFL. NASCAR's done it with Jimmy Johnson in the past, and it makes perfect sense. On what's going on in college football is the Saban effect. You want to sum that up?
Well, it's pretty simple, and it all started towards the end of the BCS era. So, Smitty, you probably don't know much about this, but the BCS was the old system called the Bowl.
I remember that.
Yeah, Bowl Championship Series, right? So there was no playoff. And Saban comes along 2007. And, I think Urban Meyer probably had some more, like, he kind of helped, but Saban really, he's the one who did it. He was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
But
that dynasty in Alabama, really.
Yeah. So just to sum it up, the SEC won, it was actually seven championships in a row. And around number 6, we're at really like number 5, you started hearing about, and this is when Saban didn't win that one. That was Auburn. Saban was number 4. He got his first one in 2009. Well, that's his second championship. His first one was at LSU. But anyways, so everybody started talking about we need a playoff because, the system, everybody thought the system was rigged, and like the SEC just, they got favoritism, blah, 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 whatever. And so they started talking about a playoff, and in 2012, I think is when they passed it. Well, Saban in 2012 was on a run for his 3rd title in 4 years. Right. Not only that, once Urban left and kind of semi-retired from college football, there was no one to challenge him in recruiting either. So he had number 1 class after number 1 class all the way up until Kirby came to Georgia in 16.
And Kirby was with Saban in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Kirby actually started out with Saban as a GA, grad assistant, and
At Alabama.
At Alabama, and then that was like for a year, and then he became like linebacker or defensive back coach, and then he was promoted to DC at some point. Something like that. I think that's the timeline. But yeah, so they passed the playoff, and then Saban's on this run, which really doesn't stop, right? So they're in the playoff, and then he's getting number 1 class. He's just stockpiling talent at this point, right? Now, there's always been like kind of this background noise about transfers, and the playoff was 100% a money grab more than anything for the other conferences, not so much the SEC. The SEC was fine with it because they're going to get paid more money, but they would have been perfectly happy just reeling off championships in the BCS.
They were getting paid either way.
Yeah, it didn't matter. But, more money talks. So, plus all the schools get a bigger share of the TV money and all that stuff. So,
win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win for them, not for the students. But so there was always like this background noise about transfers, because you had to sit out a year. Nobody thought it was fair, blah, 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 blah. Well, they finally passed the one-time transfer rule, I think, in the COVID year or the year before. 2019. Yeah.
That was the beginning of the portal.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the portal. That was when you started hearing about the portal
right.
This, the portal that. And before, if you're a graduate transfer, you've graduated from the university, you can transfer no problem. And that's always been the rule. You could play right away. Before, if you wanted to transfer as an undergrad and you wanted to play, you had to put in a waiver. And it seems like now that the portal's there, the waivers get denied more now than they did back then. And the reasoning now it actually makes more sense. A lot of it is medical reasons, family reasons, and things like that. So you have the transfer portal, right? Saban was against that. Saban, I think, was against the playoff, to be honest with you. I think he spoke publicly about it.
And it's really spread out the talent throughout the country, especially to what you're seeing with some of these, second tier teams have really picked up results. Since the portal's come along, it's really flowed out the talent in guys that were starting is now like Notre Dame. I think that was Wake Forest quarterback last year.
Yeah.
You're seeing the talent get moved around as, the next big thing comes up. They're still able to play and they're helping other teams that need help.
Yeah. And then so now you got the transfer portal. You can transfer one time without having to sit out. If you transfer more than once, you got to ask for a waiver. And the bad part about the transfer portal was that a lot of kids were going in and they were never finding places to go. But with all things, eventually the wheels get rolling. So one thing leads to another. Teams start big time. In the introduction to NIL, it exasperated this. So 2021, the kids can now make money off their name, image, and likeness. And what happens is they're not transferring because I need playing time, because that's typically why a kid would transfer, right? It's either one or two reasons. I want to be closer to someone or something, or I'm not playing. That was prior to NIL. Now you got a third reason. It's who's going to pay me the most money, or where can I go make the most money, which is not what NIL was intended for. NIL, if it's truly your name, your image, and your likeness, you can do that just about anywhere if you're a quote unquote star.
Yeah. You just need the playing time.
Right. You just need the playing time and maybe a little TV time. Which makes sense why they would get into these bidding wars at these big schools. The thing where Lincoln Riley, where he went to USC and he took Caleb Williams and a couple other kids with him, I don't think that should have been allowed to happen. I don't think that's right. However, those are the rules. It is what it is. Dion goes to Colorado and pretty much kicked half the team off before
more than half.
Yeah, more than half.
Coaching staff included.
Yeah, and let's not act like there's a couple other things to kind of sum this up, but let's not act like scholarships have never been pulled before either. So coaches are guilty of it too. But all this, to my point, was because Saban kept winning. And even not just Saban, but the SEC. This is why they've expanded the playoffs now. They want to get more teams in there. One, TV money. They're going to get more TV money. And two, because a certain conference and a certain school have just done so well, they're trying to figure out a way to create more parity. And I think on paper, it shouldn't be like this, because Alabama is absolutely fucking loaded.
Right.
I mean, loaded on paper. However, there is more parity now. The talent is more spread out because of the transfer portal, because of NIL. And I think that all goes back to the original reason that they started the playoff. It was because it's sheer dominance by a school and a conference.
So do you think, sorry, Jason, the playoff, that also extends the season a little bit, doesn't it? Don't they play more games now because of the playoffs? Or certain teams do anyway?
Yeah, they play.
Which obviously that creates more TV money as well.
Yeah, so you're playing now at this point. If you play a championship game and you go to the playoff, you're playing. If you make the national championship, you're playing 15 games.
Okay.
Where it wasn't that long ago that they played a 10-game schedule.
10 or 11, depending on the conference, right?
Yeah, and if you had actually the FCS level, they play a 10-game schedule because they have a real playoff, but they do that because they have to. They don't have bowl games. And the whole point of and they keep saying that the bowl games don't matter, the games don't matter. Trust me, they matter to those kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get to go some of the bowls are kind of cheesy, but they go
bowl
somewhere.
game's a bowl game,
Yeah.
I want to go to the Hawaii Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how cool would that be? You get a
Yeah.
free trip to Hawaii. You get to do all this cool stuff all week. You get all this swag. You get all, they give you memorabilia. They give you clothes.
Yeah. It's fun.
See, that's the thing.
All kinds of stuff.
Hey, just call your boy down in Florida. Tell him we're going to do the sideline report for the Honolulu Bowl. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the old Orange Bowl, but they the Gator Bowl.
That was huge. When I was growing up, the Orange Bowl was a big fucking deal. Every year, that was a big fucking deal. Didn't care who was coming. It was a big deal.
It's still what is it now, Jason? It's still the Orange Bowl, but I mean the Orange Bowl.
The
Is
Orange
Orange
Bowl
Bowl
rotates.
Yeah,
don't
I'm talking about
Orange Capital one, Cotton Bowl, and what's the other one?
Yeah,
The Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl, yeah.
Chick-fil-A Bowl rotates.
Peach Bowl. But the stadium that they tore down, Smitty, it was dubbed the Orange Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the original.
That was the original Miami Stadium, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the original everything stadium. Pretty much, that was the only stadium down there for a long time till they built Joe Robbie. Then once they built Joe Robbie, then everything changed.
Yeah, but it just goes back to like Jason said in NASCAR, they changed the rules until Jimmy Johnson lost.
Yep,
and then he pretty much threw up his middle finger and was like, "Well, fuck you guys." You know what I mean?
He still won. He went 5 times, then won 2 more. I mean, they even introduced a new car right in the middle of that run, and they still won.
Yeah, they pretty much fucked NASCAR up. But
they changed. They started like I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. They changed the point system.
Yep,
and then
changed it again. Playoff.
Then they went to that stupid playoff shit.
And now, like, there's the races are in tiers or sections somehow. Well, I don't get it.
Yeah, Bill France Sr. is rolling over in his grave.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that it went to I don't want to talk about NASCAR for too long here, but I didn't like the fact that they went to that playoff bullshit anyway. There's 42 fucking drivers out there and only 10 of them matter now. So what is the incentive for these other? They don't get nothing other than money. Right. I mean, they're like, why am I here?
That's back when you had to qualify to race too, or go home. Yeah, but you took a championship provisional.
Right.
You got to remember too, and I don't know how legal this would be in NASCAR. They still have teams in NASCAR, correct, Jason?
Yes.
Okay, so potentially, if one of your teammates is in the playoff and you're not, you run the race.
Obviously, you're helping him, but
you find a way to help.
But that's kind of fucked up too, because not everybody has a team. Everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Anyway, back to football.
Yeah, back to football.
So back to football. So that was the Saban Affect.
Yeah.
I want to talk about. I mean, Ohio Notre Dame was a good game. That number 32 Henderson had a 60-yard TD run that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I think the Notre Dame coaching staff let that team down. I think the new clock rules have them all rattled. I'm not sure why. I know they're got a couple less possessions per half, but I just don't get it. I mean, it's like he was a rookie coach at the end of that game. They just let it go. He played that whole game aggressively against Ohio State, and after that quarterback, then they went prevent defense and lost that game.
That's a classic, just kind of.
But I mean,
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because Marcus Freeman's a defensive coordinator. He was the DC there when Kelly left.
Yeah.
And so. But yeah, a lot of defensive coordinators will do that, and I understand they call it a prevent because you don't want them to score, but if you're giving up 10, 15 yards a clip,
yeah,
and
30 yards, 40 yards, what are you doing?
You're not preventing.
And then they get to the goal line, and 2 plays in a row, you don't have enough guys on the field.
I do not know why he called that his last time out. I think he had a better alignment, and they were rushing to get to the snap of the ball, and they probably would have been better off letting that play go. It would have been into the game, but they shouldn't have got to that position either. They had a missed field goal early in the game. That we're seeing that more and more across college football. Just I don't know what the deal is with kickers right now, but you're seeing missed kicks left and right.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how I just assume that everybody that is at these games either got free tickets or they're millionaires.
Yeah, no shit.
Because those tickets are no joke, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like nowadays, it sounds like from what you guys are saying that it's not like it's a surprise to these coaches that the time has changed, the time clock, the clock, whatever. But it sounds like time management is the name of the game, and then they're just not doing it.
Yeah. You can. So with the old rules, with the clock stopping at every first down, it was hard. It's kind of hard to slow the game down if you can't run the ball super effectively. And now with the running clock, you can control the game. That's basically what Florida did against Tennessee. Is they just played keep away the whole game. And you can do that very effectively with the new rules.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Notre Dame had almost 40 minutes of possession, 36, 38 minutes.
Yeah. And that would also indicate that you probably should have won the game.
Yep. And it's
it went down to the wire.
Yeah, it was a good game. It's just it's frustration from the fan point of view when you see a game like that. You're like, come on.
Yeah.
It was low scoring.
You had it, coach.
I need to go back and maybe rewatch that one, but
it ain't like it was just a horrible ending there. It's like 3 or 4, coaching decisions. You're like,
yeah. Florida was on at the same time, so I was yelling at the TV.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. The game of the week has to be Arkansas LSU. That game was fucking start to finish a fucking dogfight.
Yeah, for a second there, I thought LSU might run away with it. Like they looked like they were.
Man, it was like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that Arkansas QB, Jefferson. 245 pounds. That dude's a monster.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Georgia looked kind of pedestrian again in the first half. Well, the first quarter, not necessarily the first half.
Oh, but speaking of the dogs, you said get rid of the Santa hat.
The Bowers.
That it is. Just for you, Tater. So I had to move the hat.
It's you got fault. The Bowers jersey up there.
It's your fault. Where did DJ Ugale come from Oregon State? Where did he play at before?
Clemson.
Is that? Yeah. Oh, damn! He still played. Never mind. So
he's only a junior.
Okay. I was really disappointed in Oregon State here. Washington has a very good passing attack. They had over 400 yards passing. Oregon State coaching let this team down. And they almost came back and won it. They had cover 2, nickel, zone all day, spy the quarterback with one guy, get a little pressure on them. They should have won this game because they have no running game. So they're throwing the ball. That's all they do. I mean, they had a total of 106 yards between 6 people rushing. But it just did not make sense they lost this game. But whoever Cameron Ward is, he can sling it.
I don't know that name, surprisingly.
They got a great passing attack, no rushing attack. I really thought Oregon being a balanced offensive team, because I originally went with Washington and changed it about a half hour before the game started, and they almost came back and won it. Their defense is really lacking for Oregon State for that to come down to that. Because everyone in college football, I think, know that Washington State is going to throw the ball.
Yeah, if they're still running Leach's air raid offense, then they're going to throw it.
That's what it looks like.
In the top 10, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams, half the top 10 starting transfer QBs.
We'll be right back with the Week 5 picks, and thank you for following the program. If you haven't done so, please hit that follow or subscribe button on your favorite platform.
For this coming week, you got Texas A&M against Arkansas, and Arkansas looked really good against LSU, but Texas A&M's highly favored, and the same thing with
You're
LSU Ole Miss.
playing at Arkansas.
Yeah, and LSU's playing Ole Miss at home, I believe, and LSU is highly favored. But the way LSU looked against Arkansas, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think there's a couple of decent pick'ems.
All right, so let's look at this. Undefeated Kentucky. I haven't seen their schedule. Does Florida handle this?
They're favored. Has Kentucky played anybody?
So Kentucky's had our number, so
Have they really?
yeah, they've played Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, and Vanderbilt. Yeah, so that's
What do you think? I'm picking Florida.
Well, yeah, I mean, do you think I'm gonna pick against Florida? I pick Florida when I know they're gonna lose.
I'm just testing you.
This Clemson rebound at Syracuse. Syracuse 4-0.
I'm picking Clemson.
Yeah, I'm taking Syracuse there.
Texas A&M Arkansas is the one I don't. That one in the LSU game, I don't know about. I don't know.
I'd probably take LSU in the Ole Miss game. Smitty, I understand for other reasons
Yeah,
you
but
may not be able
I'm
to
like
do
you
that.
with Florida. I think I have to take Ole Miss, or I'll get shunned.
The Arkansas game to me is a toss up. Depends on which Texas A&M team shows up.
Yeah,
And
on the
Yeah, which
road.
Arkansas
going to show up.
I tell you what, that Arkansas quarterback. I know I said it already, but 245 pounds, and he ran it like a goddamn tight end. There was like 4 guys tackling his ass.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Any thoughts on the Notre Dame and Duke? Duke looks like they have a football team this year at Duke.
I don't think Notre Dame's going to have a problem with them. Not the way they looked recently.
Is this an upset for Duke?
Based on the percentages, I'd probably say if Duke wins this game, yeah, it's an upset. Right now the line is 5.5 Notre Dame.
That's it. It's only 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5.
Shit, that's tight. That's a pick 'em.
Yeah, the line on the Florida Kentucky game is 2.5. Basically saying it's going to come down to a field goal. But yeah, 5.5 is pretty much a toss up too. I want Duke to win this game. Just
But are you picking Duke?
yes, I'm picking Duke.
You are picking Duke.
Yeah, I'll put that on record.
All right, I'm taking Notre Dame. I'm taking Notre Dame in that one.
Somebody's going to be right.
Yeah, one of us.
Like Coach Napier said in his press conference this past weekend, 50% of college football teams lost this weekend.
He is absolutely right. He's dead on the money.
I think the bigger question is, does Oklahoma beat Iowa State this year? Actually, you got another top 25 game that's not on our picks in Texas and Kansas.
Kansas State.
Kansas.
Kansas.
Out there with Dorothy.
Dorothy. Not Dorothy.
That's a top 25 matchup. And to be honest with you, it's kind of interesting. Because, one, Kansas is proven that last year was not a fluke. And that coach is doing a hell of a job up there at a perennial basketball school. And Texas should, in theory, run away with this game. This should be a blowout. The line says it's 17 Texas. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it was a good game last year.
Hey,
For sure.
real quick. Did either one of you catch the post game with Dion?
Yeah,
No.
he
was pretty humble. I mean, not humble, but he was like, yeah, nothing to say. It's pretty much a good old fashioned ass whooping.
Yeah, I mean, he knows.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Dion, I mean, he says some things and he's done some things and he's flashy and he never takes his sunglasses off. Whatever. That's him. Who he's been that way since he was 15.
Yeah, that's nothing
years
new.
old.
It's nothing new.
You know, but the media is what has created the whole issue surrounding him in Colorado.
Right.
Because to be honest with you, it's not people hating. Like, people don't hate Dion. They don't hate Colorado. The average college football fan probably didn't know Colorado existed before he got there.
Right.
So it's not hating them. It's hating the hype and the
In your face.
That's all you're hearing about, kind of a thing.
Stop. Dude, you couldn't log into a website that talks about college football over the summer without Colorado being on the front page.
Right.
True.
And people are just pretty much just tired of hearing about it. Like, we know he's out there. All right, let me know when he wins the conference or something. You know what I'm saying?
I was curious to see how he was going to react, though, but he was just a normal guy at that point. He was like,
yeah,
we got our ass whooped. That's the way it goes. We're moving on, kind of a thing.
I mean, if you took 10 minutes and watched any of the first 4 games or 3 games or whatever, how many they had played, you could tell their offensive line was buns and their defense was cheeks. It was bad. So, and to sit here and act like, and then I saw today on Undisputed, Keyshawn Johnson talking about how Oregon had to get information from other coaches on how to beat Colorado.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
First of all, college coaches share information. That's no secret. They do it in college. They do it in pros. They do it in high school. But to sit here and act like Oregon needed some spectacular game plan to beat Colorado, they didn't.
That was obvious.
Oregon did to Colorado what Georgia did to Oregon 2 years ago.
Lit them up.
Beat the shit out of them. Why? Because they were outmanned, outgunned. And
the talent
talent is just better.
Yeah.
Someone tried to say if Travis Hunter was out there, which is their star player, that the game would have been different. No, it wouldn't.
How long has Trent Dilfer been at UAB?
This is his first year, I believe.
This is his first year as a head coach?
Yeah. For this team.
Oh.
He was coaching high school.
Yeah. I think
he was coaching high school?
I think this is his first collegiate year. Yeah. I was telling my wife, because I kept seeing the name. I was like, I think I recognize him. And I had to look it up. He was the quarterback when Baltimore won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So nothing else crazy next week. South Carolina, Tennessee.
We do have to talk, since we're talking about post-game interviews.
Okay.
Did you watch Ryan Day's?
What was that about?
I don't know. That was wild.
What happened? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know who Lou Holtz thinks he is, but this is a tough team. He said we weren't tough, and we're tough. He was yelling.
Ryan Day,
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ohio State.
Yeah, just a Ryan Day post game interview. I'm sure it'll be the first video that pops up.
Okay.
Yeah, he was amped up. Scared shit out of the sideline reporter. She's probably peeing her pants. Okay. He's yelling and turning red, and waving his arms around. Yeah, but he was just mad because a bunch of people picked against him, and Lou Holtz, the old former Notre Dame head coach, who's now retired, was probably in bed, didn't even watch the game because he's like 95 years old. Said that Notre Dame or Ohio State wasn't a tough team, and
he took offense.
But Lou Holtz was a former coach of Notre Dame. He won there, and he's a homer. So yeah.
Hey, he's gonna talk shit.
Rightfully so.
I don't think he works for ESPN anymore. So could pretty much say whatever he wants. He doesn't have to follow the narrative.
Please, if anybody has any questions or comments, hit us up at primecohesion@gmail.com or head to our Facebook page at Prime Cohesion on Facebook and leave some comments. We'd appreciate it.